me, Sean Capri. I'm glad you're here because you're listening to the most wholesome Nintendo podcast on the internet. It's the Nintendo Drive. I'm on a Skype call with my friend, Console Caito, the sauciest potato, and on our journey today, we're recording just before that Nintendo Direct, so jump on into the Nintendo Drive. Here we go!
Hi, Sean.
Hi, Caito. How are you today?
I'm so good.
Yeah?
I'm so good. How are you?
I'm also very good. I had a bit of a I need to open up a little bit here because you know, I'm a flawed human being. Earlier this morning, I went to the McDonald's to grab drinks for me and my wife. And I was so excited to jump back into the house and give her drink and get back to work and all these things that I got a message about an hour later from my lovely wife who said, "You left the keys in the truck and it's running for an hour." I just grabbed the drinks and I left the keys in there. So you're welcome, environment.
You don't take out the keys first?
I was absent-minded. This was not a purposeful thing at all. It was an accident. And could have lost my car.
Wow.
Could have lost my truck.
Yeah.
So there.
I don't know if this is just me. Obviously, you don't do it. But literally anytime I get out of the car, I have this almost like a mantra. And it's just like, I sit there and I ask myself, do you have your keys? Do you have your phone?
Smart.
Every single time.
Smart.
Keys, and I check them. I'm like, keys, phone. And I tap them. Am I the only one who does that? I think it was just one too many times of locking my keys in the car.
Yeah.
That now it's just every single time. Phone, and I tap them.
That's what I would do when I would leave work. I would I would count. I would be like, watch, phone, wallet, keys. I'd have 4 things. Right. And that would be it. But this hasn't happened to me. It has happened before, unfortunately. When I was younger, I had standard vehicles, like manual drive.
Ew.
And so when like a good Canadian should, I had a car starter, but they don't work the same if you have a standard. And so it would actually, even if when you parked, you have to make sure it's a neutral, that the emergency brake was up. And then it was like, okay, now I know that if you start the car, it's not going to be in first gear and jump through your garage door. So you have to kind of shut it off right. Which means when you take the keys out, the car would remain running until you close the door and it would shut off. It would kind of do that check. So I got really used to getting out of my vehicle with the engine still running. And when I closed the door, then it would actually kind of shut off. Not suggesting that that's what happened this time around, but it just doesn't it doesn't trigger me to hear a car running and me being outside of it. Like that's a thing apparently. Yeah. So
I'm honestly so impressed by anyone who can drive a manual car.
Oh, thank you.
Because that could never be me.
I learned on a minivan. My parents had a minivan that was a 5-speed. Yeah, gigantic, like gear shift and everything. And when you're learning on that, when you're kind of like figuring out how to shift into the right gear, it's a disaster. And parking that thing is a disaster. But
after you learned, did you like it?
I loved it. I really miss driving a standard actually. But for larger vehicles, like I wouldn't do it. No, thank you. Like I want a nice little speedy car that I can.
What's the appeal?
I feel like, well, especially in here in Canada, like you just have a little bit more control of like what gear you're in and how fast you're going and how fast the tires can spin for you. I really like it.
Okay.
Yeah.
One more thing before we get into all the things we're going to talk about today.
Car talk.
I promised that I would ask you about Poutine today because I said I know a Canadian that I can ask
Token
about
Canadian.
this.
Yep.
Okay. Tell me, I have never heard of this until the other day.
That is wild to me.
2 days ago.
That is crazy because I know it's a Canadian thing, but it's one of those like I didn't realize it hadn't quite crossed the border to that degree. Poutine is delicious. It's a French-Canadian sort of culture kind of thing, and it sounds maybe more fancy than it is. It's your French fries, okay, and then you take your gravy and you throw that all on top and mix up some cheese curds in there, and you have that cheese, nice melted cheese, hot gravy. You grab a fork and you shove all that into your face, and it is absolutely delicious. And yes, I can order that at McDonald's. So you got McDonald's fries, gravy, and cheese. It's so good.
That just sounds so not appetizing to me.
Fattening is what it sounds like.
I just don't like the word cheese curds.
Yes, definitely needs a rebrand.
Yeah, we need we need to talk to them about their branding.
Yeah. You guys know the perception you have in the marketplace. Let's talk about the position you hold when people think cheese curds.
Cheese curds.
It sounds like turds. And they kind of look like they're kind of like clumped up together, but they are. Yeah, am I selling you on this right now?
Everyone acted like they liked it.
It is so good. You got to try it. Don't knock it till you try it. And it's not even like you can't make it. You can get fries, you can get gravy, and it doesn't even have to be cheese curds.
Cheese curds.
I mean, you can get them, but you can throw any cheese on it if you want. It's just melted cheese and gravy and fries. It's just like this totally fatty, delicious thing. You should have it.
I'll have to try it.
Add it to your bucket list.
Okay. Added.
All
right. Well, we've got some things to talk about. So let's go ahead and clean out the garage a little bit here. Just a reminder that you can listen to the Nintendo Drive and all of the Yumi and Capri podcast content over on YouTube, youtube.com/YumiCapri. If you have not subscribed yet, what are you doing? We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers over there. So even if you don't listen to it over there, just go over there and hit the subscribe button. Okay, thanks. And we have a comment from Maggie Wright who says, "Hi, Sean and Caito. I have not actually played any Zelda games because I have not gotten into them yet. If or when Breath of the Wild 2 comes out, do you think I have to play the first game before the sequel to catch up on the storyline?"
What have you beaten it?
I have.
Yeah. What do you think?
I would say you probably don't have to.
Agreed.
But I would say you should. Because not because you have to, but because Breath of the Wild is it's probably my second favorite game of all time.
Yeah.
So you should definitely go and play it. I'm gonna play some more Pokemon before I really get into Breath of the Wild, but I am going to revisit it and play through it again.
Ooh.
So I can be ready when Breath of the Wild 2 comes out. But I definitely think, especially, so if you're listening and you've been playing Pokemon Arceus, and you haven't played Breath of the Wild, get it.
Yeah.
Get it.
Yeah.
If you're enjoying the Pokemon Legends Arceus, get Breath of the Wild. I promise you, it's amazing. I can't promise you'll like it, but I promise you it's amazing.
It is amazing. It's definitely a game to behold. And they haven't played any Zelda games, which I think is pretty wild, actually. There's definitely others, but on the Switch, I think that's probably that's got to be the best place to start. Like, one of my favorites personally is actually A Link Between Worlds on the 3DS, which I would love to see over on the Switch. But if you have, I will agree. First of all, I will agree. You probably should play Breath of the Wild because it's amazing. But the story isn't really slapping you in the face. It's not crazy in there. It's more about the gameplay. The Zelda Breath of the Wild. But if you have Switch Online, then go play A Link to the Past on Super Nintendo because that game is also great.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Those are the two
You could
starters.
also, if you don't want to play it, if you don't want to spend the $60, something that I do to catch up on storyline is watch other people play it.
Oh, big time.
So that's an option too if you don't want to actually play it yourself.
They might also do a better job telling the story than the game does itself because you really have to look for it. Like, what is the story? What are these memories I'm going to find? And what the heck is happening here? So,
yeah. It's also a little bit disjointed depending on who's playing and how far off they're going on, because you could just kind of do whatever.
Yep.
And that's what I love about it. But yeah. Okay. You can also support the show and get early access and exclusive perks at patreon.com/YumiCapri. And we want to thank our newest supporters, Lalonde and CipherPrimus. Thank you so much. Let's just do a quick little, did you play anything this week? Before we get into news and the direct and all that.
Yeah, I played a little bit more Pokemon Legends Arceus. I keep hearing other people say Arceus. I'm sticking with Arceus.
It's not. It's Arceus.
Right? I think everybody else is wrong. Shaq, we're coming after you, Shaq.
I used to say Arceus, and then I heard it was in a trailer or something.
Right.
They say Arceus.
Yes,
so
they do.
It's Arceus.
Yep. The most wholesome Nintendo podcast on the internet and the only one who says that Pokemon game correctly. We don't say any of the names of the Pokemon correctly, but the game itself we got nailed down.
Yep.
We got it locked down. I played a game that kind of reminded me of Star Fox. It's called Star Horizon. I got it on sale on the eShop, and this continues to be just kind of what I do. Buying a bunch of games. I played it for about a half an hour, and it's not good. Steer clear. It does not fulfill my Star Fox my appetite there. I think that controls pretty terribly. It doesn't really feel good to shoot like ships down, which is kind of number one thing that it should do. It should be like a good pew pew and a good. It doesn't give me any of that. Is my very critical writer's mindset when evaluating this game. So bounced off of it pretty quick, which is kind of too bad. I was really looking forward to having my deep dive into Pokemon and then having my kind of dumbed down arcadey experience with this one, but it's not there, unfortunately.
Not there. Are you still enjoying Pokemon?
Pokemon is wonderful. I think that what it has done is really it's buried Pokemon Diamond underground. I don't know when I'm going to get back to that. I just love I just love how evolved it seems. Pardon the pun, but it just seems like what it really should be, and even just to the point of it's giving me a waypoint on where to go next. Thank you for that. I want to just go explore this world, and if there's something for me to do, it's pointing me in the right direction. It's just, I don't know. How about you? It's really working for me, but how about you?
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. And if you'll recall, I told you that that's what would happen, is that once this one came out, you would no longer want to play the other ones.
Yeah.
Because I think for a while you were talking about, if you needed to wait, if you needed what you needed to do.
Yeah.
I was like, you need to play it now, or
pretty much
you're not going to play it later.
It'll basically depend on the kids, I think, for me. If they want to play a different Pokemon game or if they want to go catch a certain something, then we'll probably jump back. But I think I'm here right now.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Pokemon, that is one of the news stories today that Pokemon Legends Arceus has sold 6.5 million copies in its first week of release.
Wow. That
is unreal.
People wanted something new. Which is the one thing that I think is really interesting about the sales, and I don't know how much like we really want to jump into these numbers in the future, if that's something that people find interesting or not. But I think with this one that, we kind of talked about this before, that Switch is the first real console with actual Pokemon games. So this is kind of what that allows, is a game like this to exist. Because like, how are you supposed to get a game like this on the previous systems that Pokemon games were available on? Like the DS and the Game Boy and stuff like that, which just was never going to happen. So I think we've quickly forgotten that these are games that were born out of a handheld and now have made the leap into an actual console. So that's perfect. I love it. And it happens to be on one of the fastest selling consoles, which is great. And so I'm glad that people see this. It's totally different. And people are willing to try something that isn't the same old, same old. That means that we'll get more of this. We'll get more exploration, experimentation in Pokemon, which I think is good.
Yeah. I never really thought about it like that.
Yeah.
That it came from strictly a handheld. Because I was going to say, well, why didn't they do it on the Wii U?
Right.
Well, they weren't doing that then.
Zero interest. Yeah.
It's just a handheld game.
Mm-hmm.
Or it was at the time.
Yeah, Bobby and I used to talk about this all the time, like this benefit. And I think in the terms of the number of units that the Switch is selling, I think is sort of like a byproduct of, you have to just remember, it's so easy to forget. It was 5 years ago. They used to have like a 3-pillar strategy, or at least 2. You had your console, and then you had your handheld, and that like all the developers that they had making games for those two, and they were split down those 2 pillars. Now they all just make games for the one. And so now you only have one system to buy as well, and it's handheld, so you can buy multiples in the same household. It all adds up. It's like this crazy formula that results in what we're seeing right now, which is Pokemon selling a huge degree and changing the game of what even Pokemon means right now. So I don't know. I don't think that really gets reflected on a whole heck of a lot right now.
Mm-hmm. Well, speaking of that, do you think then our next story is talking about how many units the Switch has sold, which it is now the fastest home console to sell 100 million units.
Wild.
And has outsold the Nintendo Wii. Do you think this is a fair comparison? Because like you said, it's bundling in this other market. So you're basically getting 2 different types of gamer who are all buying this.
Yeah.
Is it really a fair comparison to compare it to the Wii, which was a totally different thing? Like if I combined the Wii and the 3DS
right,
sales,
it's not even close.
Is it,
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I think it is fair. I think it's good to just recognize that first and foremost. And then in terms of like fairness, I think it's like the Switch was never guaranteed to work. Like the Wii U was an absolute dumpster fire. And you look at this, like there's a trillion reasons why the Switch could have failed. So the fact that it has exceeded where the Wii was in a shorter period of time, and then also I would argue that the Switch isn't necessarily known for like the shovelware that the Wii became known for as it approached 100 million units. And by shovelware, I mean like garbage games. Like it was one of those things that your mom had it, your grandma had it, everybody had a Wii. So everybody and their dog started making games for it, whether they were good or not. So you think about like these bins at Walmart, these just gigantic tubs of Wii games that were just awful. And maybe we don't get the visual now because a lot of games are available on the eShop. But I would argue that, and I think we'll see it in the Direct tomorrow, that you still can expect really high quality games to drive the narrative about what is the Switch about? What kind of games are you playing on there? It's not at all what the Wii was like.
Right. And we have a question about this from Nagachaka, who asks, do you think the Switch will ever surpass the DS, which is at 154 million consoles? Why or why not?
What do you think?
It depends on how soon they release the next console.
Yeah.
For me. If it's another I don't know, the 154 million, that's a lot.
Yeah. And
I would have to assume that a lot of people 103 million people already have one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I think it'll be close. If the next system isn't out for like 2 or 3 years, I can totally see it happening.
Me too. Yeah.
If it's next year that a new console comes out, or even like early 2024, I feel like it'll be close. But then even after that comes out, I do think they will sell more of these. I think they will. I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say yes.
Nintendo does a funny thing, even just like with, you think about back to the DS days and the 3DS days. That's really like the gap, the generational leap that they made from the DS to the 3DS. So you kind of have to think about the same leap in technology, the gap in the games that are available, what's exclusive to one versus the other. When you think about like what does it even mean for like when you talk about the number of Switch consoles that are sold, even right now you've got an OLED version, you've got a light version, you've got the kind of standard day one version. Is there another one that they can release that still counts towards this ongoing 100 million sales? And they did the same thing with the DS. They had the Lite, they had the XL, they had all these different things that all count towards 154 million. So I do think that they can, and I think one of the key strategies to that is just giving us people who already have one a reason to buy another one.
Switch Lite OLED.
Totally. I definitely think the Switch Lite OLED is, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna note that one for maybe later.
Oh my gosh, I agree.
Yeah.
Yep, 100%. Okay, well, speaking of later, it's now later.
Hey.
And we're going to talk about the Nintendo Direct, which Sean claims that he predicted.
Mm-hmm.
And let's talk about that a little bit. Let's talk about your prediction of the Direct.
I think before the third week of February is when we'll get it. And I specifically expect a date for Splatoon 3. We were always wondering every time that we get into January, we're like, okay, it's been a while. When is it? I need to find exactly the episode, but I could have sworn that I said before February 14th, we will get a Direct. And I think that was still kind of bold. You know, it wasn't like sometime in 2022 we'll get one. I feel like that was still pretty, like, we probably should. And I remembered last year's February Direct and actually being somewhat excited and then also disappointed that we were getting Skyward Sword, which I ended up buying and really loving last year. So regardless of the prediction, I think people are in for a good time of our reactions to it.
Yeah, I agree. We're going to be live streaming it. So if you're listening to this before it's happened, February 9th, 4 o'clock Central Time, 4 p.m. Central Standard Time, we're going to be streaming it over on my channel, youtube.com/ConsoleCaito. So come hang out, watch it with us. I would just like to say, no, I'm not even going to say. I'm just going to ask the audience, is saying it's before a certain date enough to get the prediction correct? That's what I'm going to say.
Oh, rather than, so are you saying like you would rather
if you had said
on
it's going to happen on February 9th, I would be like, oh yeah, you got it.
Oh, wow. Oh, okay. I see how it goes. That's really hard.
It is hard. But if I can just say, hey, it's going to happen before June 25th.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to give that to me?
I don't know. I feel like that's such a long ways away. Like we were midway through January and I said, within 3 weeks we're going to get one. I feel like we're just kind of apples and bananas,
Yeah.
I don't know.
We'll let
and also there's E3
let the
in
audience
there.
decide.
Okay. I mean, I'm not suggesting that I was like Nostradamus on this thing or anything. I'm just saying that, at least there is a moment. I love it. I think this is great. So
you did good.
I don't know. Yeah, I feel like when is the next one? Like next one, after this is done, we'll have to be talking about like when is the next indie direct kind of thing or next indie spotlight. So they do a good job of going back and forth.
I think it'll be April.
Oh, okay. Oh, we're doing it right now.
Yeah,
Dang.
let's do it.
Snap. Okay.
I'm going to say April.
Are you going to be specific?
Yeah.
I'm writing it down.
April 12th.
April 12th. I'm going to say March 21st.
Okay.
Because that's 12 reversed and it's a month earlier. I just watched a stupidly long YouTube video about like there's a contestant on The Price is Right who just like studied everything. He knew all the prizes and everything.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that guy. And I feel like there's a lot of people like that. Anyways, that was a that was the way I spent my time.
It's a good watch.
Evening. It is a good watch. Yeah.
Recommend.
He's a mostly likable guy and very surprising ending, I'll say.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's talk about, we're going to do some predictions. We obviously didn't know that they were going to announce this. So we have a lot of questions that we're not going to get to today because we're going to be talking about our predictions for the direct. So we will get to the questions next week. Or if we fly through this, then we'll address that when we get
find
there.
Out.
But
all right.
Yeah, it's just, you never know what you're going to get over here.
That's right.
So predictions. I'm going to start off with my first one, which you were trying to steal. But we are going to see... We are going to see a Donkey Kong trailer.
Give it to me.
Next Donkey Kong. We will see a trailer. It will be great. We will be excited. It'll be there.
Are you willing to put a date or even a year on this thing? Are we getting this in 2022? And also, what kind of Donkey Kong? 3D or 2D?
2D.
Okay.
2D,
yeah, I'm down for that.
2023.
Oh my gosh, give it to my veins. I asked my wife, the reason why I might have stolen it. I asked my wife Chelsea, like, okay, what do you think? Like, we're gonna go record the Nintendo Drive. There's a direct coming tomorrow. Like, what do you think they're gonna show? And her first words were Donkey Kong, which I know also make our friend Justin Masson from the Nintendo Dads quite happy. I think it's time. I think it really is. I agree with you. I would love to see it. And I also think that we're both looking at this year as probably kind of loaded. Right? Mm-hmm. Like, I feel like we kind of, for the first time, know that there's a bunch of games coming out in 2022, or at least slated to. Project or a Triangle Strategy, Bayonetta 3, Splatoon, all these other things that we'll get to, I'm sure, with our predictions. So I feel like that this prediction set is kind of difficult because of that.
It is, because we already know so much.
Right. And even Advance Wars is still coming out this year as well. So, like, we're kind of in it.
Kirby.
Pokemon this year, Kirby's still coming. Like, yeah, it's going to be a good year, you guys. 154 million units, no problem.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what's your first prediction?
We need to write these down too. We need to keep track. We'll have a reaction to us. My first one, I think I'm going to just keep going with this. Last year we got Skyward Sword HD, and I think we're going to get another port. And I'm trying to think like right on the spot here. I think it's going to be Wind Waker HD. I am tempted to talk about Twilight Princess combined with that, but I don't think they're going to do it. I think they're going to continue to sell individually these ports. But what do you think? Like, are we getting more ports of Zelda? Is that just something they'll sit on? But yeah, what do you think?
Are we getting more? Yes. Are we getting more tomorrow? Oh, that's so hard because I just don't know if they will put that in the same direct that they talk about Breath of the Wild 2.
Oh, snap. There's your prediction.
So, yeah.
It's kind of one or the other, right?
It's one or the other for me. Yeah. I mean, if they do both, then great. But my next one is we will get more info on Breath of the Wild 2, and we will get a confirmation of a 2022 release.
That would make the internet explode. And I love this is your final answer. We've talked about this before, how whether we get a question one week or another, we go like, I could see it being in 20. I feel like this is the last thing you said. actually was like, we'll get it in 2023 when they release like the next Switch, whatever that happens to be.
No.
Okay, I just want to confirm.
I've been saying Mario Kart 9 comes with the next Switch.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I would love it. I would absolutely love it. And, what a strong year when we think about Xbox and PlayStation struggling to get systems on the shelves. And Nintendo's like, we're good. Our system's like 5 years old. We got these parts locked down. Their supply constraint is legit on how many units they're selling. It's like, they're good. And if they throw out Zelda, Breath of the Wild 2 out there, holy crap. The entire internet will melt down. And I'm just glad that I've kind of block the rest of the day off at this point.
I'm so excited
so
about it. It's going to be so good.
What's your disappointment factor if it doesn't show up? They go, one more thing, and here it is, and it'll be like Chibi Robo or something.
Yeah. If it's something like the one more Bayonetta thing, I will be very disappointed. If it's anything else, like I feel like any other one more thing, Smash is out of the way. It won't be a Smash thing.
Yep. Can't wait for it to be a Smash thing.
We're going to release Super Smash Expansion Pass.
That's right. That's right.
I feel like I'll be pretty excited about anything else.
Yeah, same.
So I don't think, look, I'm going into this one with a much different mindset than we had last year.
Yeah.
Because a lot of that for me comes from there will not be anything Animal Crossing here.
Right.
So that there was like this gray cloud over every Nintendo Direct because
that's a good
I was just
point.
waiting for Animal Crossing stuff. And when I didn't get it forever and ever and ever, it was frustrating.
Yeah.
So there will not be anything Animal Crossing. So that mindset is gone. So I think I'll be excited if anything else, but
I love it.
Yeah, just
I can't wait. I really hope people you're going to get one of two experiences as a listener to this. If you're listening to it as soon as it drops, you're going to hear this and be just as in the dark as we are. Or you're listening to this after the direct is aired and you're like, you idiots. Like what? Or like, how are you expecting any of this stuff? But I really like that time travel.
So you think it's going to be Wind Waker and Breath of the Wild? Both? Or you think it's going to be one or the other?
I honestly could see it go both ways. Like I really am having trouble. I'm having trouble deciding. my latent Capri Italian heritage coming through there. I am really having some trouble deciding because I really could see that being the game.
Know what I will be grumpy about?
Oh.
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're okay.
I will be grumpy if the one more thing is about the Mario movie.
Oh, yeah. We probably could get a little bit more information about that. I really hope there's no movie stuff at all. I just want games.
Same.
I really do just want games, actually. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, so I don't want to poo-poo on your prediction because I want it to happen. I just want to be like really clear. I would love to see Breath of the Wild, and I would love to have that same feeling that I had when I saw the very first trailer for the original Breath of the Wild. Like that was probably and continues to be the best video game trailer in the history of video game trailers. It is so excellent. I particularly love the Japanese version that they showed us when they revealed it for the very first time. The music and everything just really, really hit. So, I would love to see it. But I kind of have a prediction that might go in the face of that, Caito.
Okay.
I think that the big game that they've got for holiday for us this year, I actually think is Fire Emblem in November.
Really?
I think that'll be the one more thing. I'll even add that to my thing. I think that one more thing will be Fire Emblem. That'll be the last thing that we see, and they will say that it's coming out in November of 2022.
Wow.
And I'd be okay with it. I mean, I wouldn't be like stoked that I'm not getting a Zelda game, but I feel like there's very few games for me personally that could swap that out.
I think I would be disappointed with the Fire Emblem one more thing.
A lot of people would be, I think. Yeah.
I'm fine with it being announced anywhere else except for the one more thing. I don't know why. I just like those games have got to be. I feel like the one more thing needs to appeal to like almost everybody.
Yeah.
In my opinion. And Fire Emblem is just not that. I think I've never played a Fire Emblem game and I think I would enjoy it.
I think you would too.
But because I haven't. I just,
You know what I would love to do? Actually, maybe we could do this with Pokemon at some point, but I feel like a fresh start on a game that neither of us are playing. Like, if you and I, like, played a game together at the same time, maybe a Fire Emblem game is, like, the worst choice because, you know, we do it an hour at a time and it would take us 6 years to actually finish it.
True.
But I feel like making choices together, like with a friend with a game like that is, like, super fun. But I think that'd be great to do.
Well, that's why I love Pokemon so much, is because everyone collectively has made this decision.
Right.
And especially, like, I know not everyone who listens to us is in the Animal Crossing community as much as I am. And it has been so refreshing to see almost everyone in the community buying this game.
Yeah.
And hopping on and playing it, talking about it, all those things. So I'm excited about the future of Nintendo and all this stuff. But anyways, so I agree. Yeah, next game, let's pick. But I think we could, once we play Pokemon some more, we could talk about it.
Yeah, I agree.
Like a full length, just a Pokemon episode.
Oh, nice. Our first extra mile.
Yeah, our first extra mile on Pokemon.
I'm down.
That'd be fun.
Definitely.
Okay. Is it my turn?
I think I've done 2.
I don't remember how many I've done. Oh, yeah, you have. So it's my turn. Yes. Okay, they're going to talk some more about Nintendo Switch Online service, and they will show us a couple more games. I'm not bold enough to predict any more other than Wave Race will be one of those games.
Okay.
So they'll probably show us like 3 to 5 more games that we're going to get, Wave Race included.
Well, you just took one of mine.
Oh, no.
I want that so badly. I also kind of like, for some people who might not have been listening to our show for that long, or maybe just recently jumped on, there was a few months ago where we kind of briefly covered a bit of a leak that suggested that Wave Race is one of the games that could be coming. And so I don't think you're totally out to lunch on this. And I would be just totally thrilled to see this. And nothing, and I'm going to jump on this with, I want Nintendo to just pile on the value for the thing that we've kind of already bought, but a lot of people maybe are hesitant to, and that's maybe putting it nicely. People have kind of made up their minds about Switch Online expansion pack with the offering that has been given so far. I would love to see Wave Race. I will add on something that is probably bonkers crazy. And
if
that
you say
is
GoldenEye, I'm going to...
No, I'm going to say Diddy Kong Racing, and I think I'm going to say that because of what has happened with Banjo and Kazooie, which obviously first originally was done on N64, created by Rare now owned by Microsoft, and that really should have prevented the Rare and the property really being owned by Microsoft at this point. That should have prevented it from coming onto Nintendo Switch Online, and I feel like this would be such a huge win. I don't think Xbox is ever going to do anything with Diddy Kong Racing, and they could totally just create a nice big win for the service if they worked out a deal for Diddy Kong Racing to come to the service.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Yeah.
I like Diddy Kong Racing.
Me too. A lot of people do. Well, a lot of people do, but also a lot of people kind of rating going like, what do you want out of the next Mario Kart? And it would be really interesting to see people maybe playing Diddy Kong Racing for the first time and discovering that it is of course a kart racer, but it's a little different too. And seeing how people react to that could be fun.
They should merge the two.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, my next one is that your next one? Diddy Kong?
Diddy Kong is my next one. I actually had Wave Race and Diddy Kong, but I'll give you Wave Race. I'll take Diddy Kong.
Okay. My next one is, there have been some rumors going around on Twitter. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to say this rumor is true, and we will hear about it tomorrow. Neopets is coming to the Switch.
I love it.
And if this happens, I will be so ecstatic. I want Neopets to come to the Switch so bad. I doubt you ever played Neopets.
No. I actually thought this was going to be like an evolution of like Nintendogs or something.
No, I would love Nintendogs though. Yeah. But Neopets, I don't even know how to describe it. It was just an online, it still exists. It's just an online game. And you have these little pets that you take care of. But there are all these little mini games that you do and different stuff that you do every day to gain accessories for them and like little, I don't know how to describe it. There's just, you visit the the giant omelet every day. And there's like stuff that's every day you do
You
it.
just said that with a straight face. You visit the giant omelet.
Look, if you get it, you get it. Okay?
Okay.
And this is happening, and we're getting it, and we're all going to be excited. If
love
it happens, you have to get it.
You know what I forgot to do during this? And this is really to the point earlier about, can you make a prediction that there's going to be a direct before like June or something? What I think we should be doing is actually like giving ourselves odds, right? So if something is likely, or if you like, you want to award points for being bold, right? So I don't know if we want to go back, but that's a thought. Yeah. Let's finish it off, and then we'll recap and go like, what are our odds?
Sounds good
On this. Okay.
Okay, next.
Next one I have is Splatoon 3 will get a release date, and it will be in June of 2022. And I'm just because of what I just said, I'm tempted to give you a date, but I'm just going to leave it at June 2022. It's coming, and it's right under our noses, everybody. Get ready.
Okay. I agree with this.
Okay.
I think it will happen. I actually agree with the June release, too. I think
it'd be perfect.
I think that's a good time. Summer.
Give it to me, Nintendo.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, my last one is we're going to see a Dragon Quest Builders sequel. I'm just going to keep predicting this until it happens.
Nice. Yes, please.
Dragon Quest Builders 3. We will get a trailer, and it will be a 2023 release.
Nice.
I'm just going to...
I'd love to see it there. I'd love to see, Square it would be great to have them show up. They usually kind of come with something at the very least. That's another way you can kind of tackle this and go, where's Square? What are they going to do? Where's Capcom? What are they going to do? I think for the most part, we stay pretty first party, actually.
Yeah.
A lot of Nintendo stuff. So, I'm curious to know what other people might have predictions for, which would be cool to see on YouTube and in the Discord as well.
Yeah.
I'd love to see that, definitely. I'm a huge fan of the second game at the very least. It was really good. So, I like it.
I hope it happens.
Me as well. I have got two things that I'm hovering on, and I'm not sure which way to go. One, I've predicted before. I'm just going to cast it aside. I'm going to say I would love to see Strikers there, Mario Strikers. I'd love to see it there, but I don't know where they put it in. So I'm going to go kind of crazy with this one and I'm going to say that EA finally is going to give us The Sims on Switch. Now, before anybody yells at me and says that it can't run on Switch, it's going to be a cloud version. That's how they're going to do this. You're going to get a cloud version of The Sims on Switch, and I think it comes out in 2022 is as far as I'm going to go.
You think they haven't missed this?
No. Now is the time. I'm stubborn. You're probably right. Yeah, they probably have missed it. But I also think now that Animal Crossing is kind of like closed its doors, just like we're starting to see a bunch of Super Smash Brother clones and similar games like that. Now that Animal Crossing is done on Switch, so to speak, I think they might have an opening over here.
Yeah.
I also felt like I needed to have one cloud prediction. I feel like I'm at least appeasing Justin Masson, who seems to be a fan that this is a thing. Yeah.
Well, I like our predictions. I feel like there are so many things we didn't cover, though.
Right. Like what?
That I feel like will be shown. Like, do you think they're going to show Kirby? Do you think they're going to show any Kingdom Hearts? Is that out yet? Do they think
Kingdom Hearts did come out?
Yeah,
and it's super expensive. Yeah.
It did come out?
Yeah.
It's expensive.
Yeah. It was like $90. It was a cloud version thing, and it was like $90 if you wanted all the stuff.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I missed that. What else? Is there other stuff that maybe we did talk about a lot of it?
I think we did. There's got to be some sort of like Monster Hunter thing. It seems like Monster Hunter kind of shows up all the time.
You think they'll talk about Advance Wars?
I really hope not. Like there really is a lot of stuff. Like Triangle Strategy is maybe the thing that where maybe that's where Square shows up. I hope not. It's just as a bit of a reminder for what's coming. Chocobo. Like I said, they might actually just have a bit of a montage of here's the stuff that you're going to get. There's there's Triangle Strategy on March whatever on then there's Chocobo GP on March 10th. There's all this other stuff. Persona 4 Ultimax on March 17th. We could get something like that, but
I just feel like they're in this kind of weird place right now where they've already talked about so many things for this year.
Yeah.
That there's really not much else to say about that stuff, and you kind of have to go further than that. It's just how much further are they going to go?
Yeah, I think that they had some sort of like this. These are the games for the most part that are coming in the first half of the year, with a couple of exceptions that go beyond that. So I think that gives us a bit of a window in terms of what the holiday game is, and maybe we get a game that is very very early into. Oh, we didn't even talk about Metroid. That's probably the big thing.
Oh yeah.
Like is there a trilogy? Is there Prime 4? Does that could be a
one more thing.
One more thing that would be huge. That would be massive.
I don't care about that, but at least that one I could get excited for everybody else.
It would be perfect timing, actually, just after, Metroid Dread did so well. And yeah, that would be kind of a nice 1-2 punch and just continue the fan base on that and continue the momentum. I'm kind of regretting my one more thing.
Do you want to change it?
I don't know. This is sort of like an unofficial, like, honorary mention that won't. I mean, there's the points don't matter. It's just whose line is it anyways?
This
it's all
is
made
not
up.
whose
And the
line. It does matter.
That really could be a thing. But I'm gonna lay it out there for whatever that's worth, I guess.
Now wait, hold the phone, Caito and Sean. Ryan Turford, the producer of the show, aka producer Ryan. I actually edit the show, post it to YouTube, and all that good stuff. And I want to get my predictions in as well. Obviously, these aren't going to count towards the odds or the points that Caito and Sean are doing, because obviously they couldn't, put odds on any of my predictions. But I wanted to get them in there because I have a lot to say. Because to Sean and Caito's point, they didn't cover exactly everything that I think is going to happen at this event. And I've got some boldish kind of predictions that I want to get out there too. So here are my 5 predictions of things that I think we'll see. I've got some safe ones, but then I've got some like crazier out there stuff like, Neopets on Switch or Diddy Kong Racing or something like that. Stuff that Sean and Caito talked about. My first one, Final Fantasy Pixel Remasters. I think this is probably my safest pick. We know that Final Fantasy VI is coming out on PC later this month. I believe it's in like a week or two. And I think it's very safe to say that Square Enix is going to be putting all these games on consoles later this year. So my prediction is that Final Fantasy Pixel Remasters, so Final Fantasy 1 through 6, will arrive on Switch sometime this April. They'll give like an exact date, but for the sake of my prediction, I'm just going to say April. I'm not going to give a specific date or anything like that. I'm not going, that deep with this. Next thing, sticking with Square Enix, because this is something we actually heard about last year, but I think it's finally time that we hear about it now. Chrono Cross Remastered, the remastering of the PlayStation 1 RPG, one of my favorite games of all time. I think that it's definitely going to be shown here, and it's going to be coming to Switch over the summer. They won't give an exact release date. It'll just be Q2 of this year is what I'm expecting them to say, and then they'll give like a release date closer to when it's actually out. It kind of reminds me of a situation that we saw with Final Fantasy VIII when it came to Switch, with kind of its remastered version. So I'm expecting something very similar with this version of as well. Plus, a lot of times they either with these re-releases, they'll either shadow drop them, or B, they'll give like a nebulous release date sometime in the future. That's just what I've noticed that Square Enix likes to do with this stuff. So that's what I think is going to happen with Chrono Cross Remastered. And to Sean's point, my third prediction, Metroid Prime Remastered. I'm not picking anything that Caito and Sean picked, but neither of them technically picked it. And this has been on my list for weeks, pretty much ever since, we knew a Direct was probably going to come later this year, or at least in February. Like, Metroid Prime Remake has been one at the top of my list for things that I thought we were going to definitely see. So absolutely, I think that's going to be one of the things that we see during the Nintendo Direct tomorrow is Metroid Prime Remake. They won't give an exact date. I think it's just going to be labeled for Q3 of this year. It's probably what I'm thinking for that one. And will it be the one more thing? I'm actually with Sean, believe it or not, on the one more thing actually being Fire Emblem, which actually would make me super happy because I love Fire Emblem. It's one of my favorite series. And again, lo and behold, if Sean and Caito didn't talk about Fire Emblem, producer Ryan would be talking about Fire Emblem. I love that series, and I can't wait to see what's next. I actually think it's going to be a new Fire Emblem game, so not a remake, because we'd heard about the idea of maybe them doing remakes for a while, like maybe remaking some of the SNES Fire Emblem games, like Genealogy of the Holy War or something like that. But I think this is going to be a brand new Fire Emblem game. But again, not my prediction, because I'm not going to steal it from Sean or anything like that. But something that Sean and Caito didn't talk about, Persona 4 comes to Switch. I think that's pretty much a lock at this point, or at least if it's not that, there will be a Persona announcement at this event. We already have confirmation from Atlas that a Persona announcement of some kind is happening this month. and we just don't know when. And since we had the state of play from Sony last week that didn't have it because it was just focused on Gran Turismo and not talking about any other games, like this just seems like a shoe-in for whatever that announcement's going to be. Whether it's Persona 4, whether it's the Persona dancing games, that I think that's also a possibility, or even some of the older Persona games. I think Persona 4 Golden is probably the most likely candidate. So that's definitely going to be my fourth prediction. And then I would normally say GoldenEye comes to Nintendo Switch Online, or just GoldenEye comes to Nintendo Switch with like an HD remake, but I'm not going to go safe like that because that's one that I think that we can all kind of agree is happening. We saw the achievement list leak on Xbox, so I think we're going to see that there, but that's not my final prediction. My final prediction is actually one that's kind of far off in space that no one said anything about, but I would love to see it, and I think it's possible. So we've actually seen a bunch of Star Wars games come to Nintendo Switch from Aspyr, a lot of older Star Wars titles like Jedi Knight, as well as Pod Racer and a bunch of other stuff. But one series that hasn't made its Switch appearance yet is the Rogue Squadron series, going all the way back to the N64. That's a series that really is kind of like intrinsically tied with Nintendo, whether it was, of course, Rogue Squadron on the N64, or even the GameCube launch title, Rogue Leader, which that game is still incredible today. I'm actually really excited because I think now is the time, or this is the year where we maybe see the return of Rogue Squadron as kind of a like $10 to $20 HD re-release for the Switch. I mean, again, it makes sense because I think Lucasfilm Games is trying to do a bunch of these HD re-releases, and they've been trying to get a bunch of them together, and I think it's high time that we see the return of Rogue Squadron. It's been too long since we've had that series around, so that's something I would love to see, and that's kind of my final prediction. The other one I actually had, which is kind of adventurous as well, was Resident Evil 2 and 3 get cloud versions and actually come kind of in line with Sean's prediction where he had the cloud version of The Sims 4. I mean, obviously, we're going to see a cloud game of some kind, and we do know some stuff from the Capcom leak as far as some stuff, but these aren't really things that were on there. But I know Resident Evil 3, I think, was rumored a long time ago, like a year and a half ago, coming to cloud. And I think that's finally where we kind of hear about some Capcom games coming to the cloud service. And I think Resident Evil 2 and 3, especially with what happened with Resident Evil 7 in Japan, as far as that being a cloud version, I think those are going to happen at some point, whether it's at this direct or another one. I think it's going to happen down the road. So that's something I would love to see too as a big Resident Evil fan, is to see that come to service. Well, those are my picks. Let me know in the comments below what you think. I'm also going to be doing my own reaction. I know Caito and Sean are doing their live stream, so definitely check them out at youtube.com/consolecaito. But if you want to know what I thought about the Nintendo Direct, I'm actually going to be shooting a reaction to the Direct as well. That's going to go live on our YouTube channel on youtube.com/YumiCapri. It'll be labeled as Producer Ryan Reacts to the Nintendo Direct. I did this last time and had a lot of fun with it, so we're going to do that again. So definitely check that out on the channel. And that's going to do it for me, folks. So I'm going to send it back to Sean and Caito with the rest of the show.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so how do we do the odds thing? So let's go back through.
Okay.
Let's see. There will be more info on Breath of the Wild 2 and confirmed for a 2022 release.
2022. Okay, so this will be like on a scale of 10. 10 being like outrageous and 1 being it's a given.
Okay.
Right. So I think for that I'm gonna give you 7 points on that. I really don't know, and I'm gonna say that, you know, when we were doing all of our fantasy leagues, we're picking games that we think are going to score well. There was a huge amount of hesitation, trepidation around Breath of the Wild. Nobody is really sure about this, so I feel like that should push you over the 5. You get a 7 on the Zelda prediction that is coming in 2022.
Okay. Nintendo Switch Online with Wave Race.
I think an 8 on that as well. Like, I think that's also unlikely, but you're not out to lunch, as I mentioned, so you're going to get points if that lands.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Donkey Kong 2D in 2023.
Ooh. I'm gonna give you there's like no indication that this is a thing, but Donkey Kong eventually is coming.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna give you a 6 on that because you've got lots of time on it. Okay. I'll give you a 6 for DK. Yeah.
Okay. Dragon Quest Builders, a sequel.
Builders
in
sequel.
2023.
Yeah, you're getting a 9 on that if that shows up. Yep. Again, out of nowhere. Nobody's calling for this.
Yes.
There's no hints.
the Neopets rumor is
Good
true.
God. This is a 10. This is a 10. That is like the definition of a 10 for the scale. That's actually good to have. It's like, okay, what even are you doing here?
Come on, Neopets.
Okay, my first one was that we were going to get a Wind Waker port to the Switch in 2022.
I was going to say 6, but with you having 2022 on there, because I feel like we know this is coming.
Yeah, I agree.
So I'm going back and forth between a 6 and a 7.
I was feeling
Because
6.
you're saying, okay, let's go 6.
I was actually expecting you to say 6. So,
Okay.
Yeah, okay. My next one was Splatoon 3, June 2022.
We also know Splatoon is coming. June. I think I'm going to go 6 again.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. That's probably pretty safe. My one more thing is Fire Emblem, and it's coming in November 2022.
I'm going to go with an 8
Give me points, yes.
on that one. Yeah.
The next one is Switch Online expands to include Diddy Kong Racing.
Oh, this is a 10.
Yes, it
That's a 10.
is points. And the last one also probably.
Oh my gosh, that's a 10.
The
Sims
Sims
is not
Cloud
so that's
is
a
a
10.
10. Yeah, okay, I'll take it. So a huge amount of possible points. I think this is great. This is the new standard, by the way. If you're listening to other podcasts that do predictions and they're not doing this, write them a sternly worded letter. Because anybody can just name things. Nintendo dads, Nintendo pals. I know you're all doing it. Okay, this is how it's done. So thanks,
Yep.
Caito, for playing along.
Agree. Okay, well, we need to wrap it up.
Yes.
Sean, where can everyone find you on the internet?
You can send me all of your predictions that you think are right or your reactions to how wrong I was at Twitter and visit me on Twitch at Sean Capri. Sean like Connery, Capri like the pants.
And you can find me on YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter at Console Caito. That is all for episode 40 of the Nintendo Drive. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time, make sure you join us February 9th, 4 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time to watch the Nintendo Direct. If you're listening after, make sure you leave a comment and let us know everything that we got wrong.
The Nintendo Drive is fueled by patrons at patreon.com/YumiCapri. And from the bottom of my heart, I am so grateful to the more than 70 patrons who support us each and every month. With a special thanks to our Capremium producers, Dallas Ford, Lee Navarro, the fearless leader of the Phoenix Overdrive Extra Life team. You can join me and the rest of the Phoenix Overdrive team at extra-life.org and raise money for the kids. And Jonathan Brown, the man behind the music on this show and the Nintendo Drive. You can download his latest album, In My Element, on Spotify and Apple Music. Our platinum producers, Robbie Bobby Miller and Trucker Sloth, and all of our gold members, Argo, Brendan Myers, Dallas Robbins, Dano, Emily O'Kelly, Foolish Fuji, Joel Brooks, Jose Jimenez, Mac Time, Marcus O'Neill, Mr. and Mrs. Nasty Boots, RJ Kern, Skinny Matt, Tony Baker, and Xavier Reyes. If you'd like to support the show, go to patreon.com/YumiCapri and choose the tier that works for you.